Man, I hate old people movies. Oh, hey, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, about 70 years ago, this type of editing would have been entirely difficult to make. It would have taken physically cutting the film, putting it together, and even putting film layering on it. Compared to like modern times, it took me like 4 hours to make, and that's including the getting my parents to do the acting and stuff, and doing the editing part. Hi, my name is Justin, and today we'll be going over some of the things I've learned over the years, like, for example, cinematography, filmmaking, and about learning about the film industry itself. Maybe you're probably expecting some, like, master cinematographer or some serious film wizard, but in this road we call life, I've been watching, experimenting, exploring, and researching different aspects of the film industry, trying to understand how these well-crafted films were made. My hope is that this film will be able to address some of the big problems that the film industry itself has. That includes creating connections with people and like how to interact with those on set, like understanding the equipment itself, and even learning about some of the processes that the industry and people who go into screenwriting or that kind of stuff like actually process that kind of stuff. This video should be great for people who want to get started or just want tips on how to make their films better. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy. I think that was a pretty good take. I might have to do it again, but you know. Alright, here's what you need to get started.
A tripod. A phone.
That's it. That's literally all you need to get started. All you need is a good camera with a good mic and a tripod. Granted, you can always give your friend the camera. You can always have them use the tripod, which does help with stability and good still shots. But if you're doing that alone, you probably need a tripod. Now, from here on out, you can do practically whatever you want to do. Just make sure that it's probably a good idea to have a script, as it tells you indirectly the length of your film. Before writing the script, I want you to consider the 3-step structure. The beginning, which pretty much tells the characters, sometimes the character's antagonist if you want to introduce it early, and the plot, the environment, the world building, right? And the middle, that's where some people like to put the antagonist and more world building there too, but it's also the lead to the climax. And the end, which is the climax, or it's already been the climax and it's starting to fall. So from the climax, it becomes the resolution, and that is what the end is. From here, you pretty much can go all out. You can choose your genre of filmmaking that suits you. You can do an adventure film, you can do an action film, you can do a comedy, a sitcom, whatever you feel like you're comfortable doing. Now, this sounds very straightforward, but I want you to remember that sometimes you could lose track, and when you do, you should ask yourself questions to avoid actually losing track. Like, for example, what is the story about? How will the characters interact with each other and the environment? What are some of the interesting plot points that the characters will face? What's the moral of your story? And are there sharks in the water? Okay, just be careful not to lose track. When brainstorming like this, you can tend to get off sidetracked or just crazy, but essentially, you should just write notes. Write notes and any thoughts you have and write it down. From there, I recommend creating a pitch, one that you could tell your friends and family so they can, if they're interested in watching it, that means you're going the right direction. A movie pitch is usually around 30 seconds to a minute, and sometimes it can just last from 1 sentence to 2. Usually it describes characters, plot, beginning of the 3-step structure, which I explained in the beginning. If you want practice on how to make pitches, I recommend you try doing a pitch for a movie that's already been invented. Plus, you won't lose your direction. You know, people will help you get back on track if they feel like they themselves are lost.
Now, writing a script, you may say, phew, all I had to do is write catalog dialogue. Phew, that was easy. All I had to do is write the characters' dialogue, their story, and their actions. That seems pretty easy. Also, I like eating chalk.
No! Bad! Well, yes, this method is technically viable. It can also be misunderstood by the actors and even by yourself. You probably should make it as clear as possible. By clear, I mean, instead of just writing enter plaza, I recommend like saying, oh, I don't know, character insert plaza while drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. Something like that along the line. So your actions are very clear, but they're not necessarily misinformed and could be interpreted by the actors. And to make sure when you're writing character dialogue, don't make it sound like a robot. Try to actually make it sound like an actual person is talking. You pretty much just want your characters to sound natural. Try to talk to people and try to understand how people talk. A tip I can give you is probably to have some organization method inside your script making. Like for example, use parentheses, use semicolons, use different colors of text. Granted, don't try to make a font that's unreadable or unlegible because sometimes you can sell the script in bigger businesses and stuff. So I recommend not doing that because it won't be readable and you probably won't be picked for that. And even this thing, I have no idea what that thing is or what it's called. I think it's a dash. I don't know. People have different names for it. Essentially what I'm trying to say is you can use this. I don't know what it's used for. You can use it. Isn't it cool? Anyways, here's an example of me in real life improving a script writing process.
Oh, hey, what's up? So yeah, I have writer's block. I don't know what to do. I'm writing the script right now, but I'm kind of lost, and what should I do, right? This is not really part of the script, but essentially what I'm doing here is just trying to get rid of writer's block, right? When you have writer's block, it tends to be because you've been writing a lot, and you seem to have run out of ideas. So the best way to get rid of that, basically, is do something else. Literally, just go outside, run, listen to some music, Obviously, you don't want to do it for too long, because if you do, then you tend to wander off, but if you just keep an open mind and you just do your daily stuff, eventually the ideas will come to you. And yeah, that's basically all I could tell you right now.
Even when the script is written out, don't feel pressure to actually stick to the script. If you feel comfortable improvising, go ahead, do it. Just remember to obviously stick with the theme of the story and make sure that you keep your actors in check. Shit, you don't even have to have a script. If you just want to go off and be a comical genius, then go ahead. But again, if you're working with other people and you also need, a very good structured script is always nice to have.
Don't forget to keep track of the films.
Continuity, as it directly impacts the timeline, the message, and the lore of the film.
Now, you don't want to confuse your viewers, do you?
Or maybe you want to confuse your audience. I don't know. Do whatever you want. It's your film. Just make sure you do it sparingly, because it can sort of get confusing regardless of if you're using it to confuse your audience or not.
Now, for continuity's sake, there is a rule that filmmakers have to follow. It's called the 180-degree rule. Its main purpose is to keep the positioning continuous with the scene and to keep the continuity of that scene. For example, if a person's seen on the left side, if you don't follow this 180-degree rule, they will switch positions. When you cut away to something else, it will jump you out of this scene, right? Alright, so let's talk about where to write your script on, The platform where you write doesn't matter as much either, so long as you and potentially other members of the video can access it. Google Docs, can do every project fine. Personal experience, though, it can get clunky at times and it can shift every time a new page is created. On the bright side, you can always pay for an application that automatically formats it. Final Draft 10. But then again, why would you want to buy something that's free? That's like buying air in a bottle. Another thing to consider is storyboarding. Storyboarding after a script is usually super helpful. It's not necessary to have, it's not necessary for YouTube per se, but it's really nice to have. Even if it's stick figures and you could see their actions and you could see how the character and people will move. And when you're storyboarding, the same rule applies to script making. So you pretty much know what a camera app is on your cellular device. You pretty much just press the red button and it starts recording. Yeah, that's nice, but when you want to edit something, you probably want to organize in some form of fashion. So basically, I would recommend you using a clipboard or some sort of naming scheme. The personal experience through editing process, it's a pain. It's a pain to go through each and every single individual file just to find the one thing you don't need. It's very frustrating when you find it and then there's nothing there that you could use. So I pretty recommend labeling things, okay? Also, when you're scurrying around your videos, you can always delete videos if you really don't need to. Make sure you actually don't need it, but...
Yeah, hi, editing Justin here. I just wanted to clarify something real quick. What I wanted to say here is that you could just take the best parts of each take and use it for scrap, so make sure not to delete it unless you're absolutely certain. But my dumbass kept rambling and forgot the script, so...
Alright, so here's some film terminology you most likely will hear. Overlay / B-roll are secondary to your primary video, which is A-roll. It's not the primary video, but it does add a little bit of the experience that just adds on to the primary video. It's sort of like listening to lo-fi when you're doing homework. A cutaway is something the lines of... continuity. And that is what a cutaway is. So yeah, that was a cutaway. It's like a transition from the main scene to the background scene to the main scene to convey a different atmosphere of the original scene. A montage is a series of moving videos edited to create a sequence of a lot of information in a short span of time.
Great! Now you know how to write the script.
Holy shit. Oh, cinematography tricks. The position of the camera, the rotation of it, and the depth are everything to make a film that's pretty good to, oh my gosh, it's a masterpiece. The angle and sounds differ your atmosphere and mood. Here is a list of techniques and angles, movements, etc. that you can use in your film. And keep in mind that this list I've compiled together is simplified to the form of easiest that you can do alone to hardest based on equipment, accessibility, and the flexibility of the positions. My friend Rex.
So I'm not getting paid for this?
Nope.
This is the full shot. This is the basic camera shot that most people use. This angle captures one or more subjects in their basic environment. It also shows the subject and how they interact with other objects in their environment. This is the static shot. This shot has both the subject and object in a freeze environment. This shot directs your attention to a particular mood and your attention to the action in front. Primarily used in interviews, but it can also be used in films to emphasize scenes such as in a prison room or even an interrogation room. The medium shot. A shot taken from the waist up. This is usually used to portray the subject and their environment. It draws the audience's focus on character dialogue while allowing the environment to be explored.
Alright, is this the yeehaw scene?
This is the cowboy shot. A shot taken from the concept of old country movies. The name says it all, partner. It's a subcategory of a medium shot that shows the characters from the knees up. It is larger than the medium shot. It can be used to portray the character's superiority. The low angle, a shot taken from the camera tilted upwards. This shows the subject as powerful, but it can also make the character looking up feel vulnerable as well. Depending on who is represented behind the camera, it can be either or. The high angle, a shot taken from the camera tilted downwards. This creates a feeling of insignificance, vulnerability, and tension. The use is common among action movies to portray the scale of the crowd. The long/wide shot. A shot that shows the subject's environment as it becomes the main focus. This shows the subject's insignificance in relation to the environment, or it can show where the story will take place. This is the extreme long shot. A shot taken from far away to establish the environment and where its characters will be. This is usually used at the beginning of a film to help the viewer understand the setting. The ground level shot. A shot to depict small objects below waist level. This is usually used to show something happening on the ground, or to show a character walking without revealing their face. When it's a POV film, the view is used to portray that the character has dropped the camera and is in shock of some kind. It can also be used to emphasize small object movement. The close-up shot. A shot taken from close-up. It focuses the audience attention to the situation and derives the action from the foreground. These are used to create situations between the subject or the viewer watching. The over-the-shoulder shot. A shot from the over-the-shoulder is usually used for conversation purposes in order for the viewer to feel involved and a different perspective of the conversation. It tells the story of the subject, whose back is turned away from the camera. The over-the-hip shot. A shot taken from hip down for viewers to see the conversation. This is usually used for conversations where the character is standing up while the foreground character is sitting down. The camera's primary focus is on the character who is sitting down.
Whoa!
The Dutch angle. A shot taken from an angle on the roll axis. This is usually set to make the viewer uneasy about a situation or generate hype about an action that is about to happen. The extreme close-up. A shot taken from extremely close-up. This is usually focused on character's eyes or a specific part of their body. This is usually created to communicate extreme detail to the viewer and can be set up to be uncomfortable. The track shot. A movement technique that has the camera person follow the subject of the frame. This is usually used to create a sense of urgency or rush as you're traveling alongside them. This could also lead to surprise the audience, as they could have no idea where they are being led off to. The camera tilt shot. A movement technique that angles the camera in a horizontal motion. This is usually used to depict the scale of the subject in frame. This creates a more dramatized effect of the subject than if it were to be a still image. Zoom lens. A technique that uses the camera's zoom feature. This is usually used to emphasize something going on in a character's head, or in the case of a horror movie, to emphasize something lurking around a dark corridor. If it's zooming out, it's meant to represent the opposite effect, and gives an otherworldly view to the audience. The focus pull. A technique that requires the focus feature. This is usually used to literally pull your attention away from the subject in frame and direct it to another object in frame. The arc shot. A movement technique that circles around the subject. This is usually used for the audience to view every single side of the frame, while also giving the sense of rush or confusion. Sometimes it wants the audience to see something epic is about to go down. Pan shot. A movement technique that uses the camera's z-axis to create a blur effect. This is to show the subject's action as accelerated or exaggerated. This is usually used in a montage or to show the progress of time.
Having the appropriate shots can lead to really cool effects, but be careful not to overuse it. When you overuse something, the audience becomes disoriented and the focus becomes lost. Even if the repeated use is used for, let's say, a motif purpose, it would still lose focus from the viewer simply because it's overused.
Using a different form. You can use only a smartphone, but I recommend having these items if you want a more professional look into your films. You know, obviously the most reasonable thing to go for is Jesus Christ, look at that price! Okay, maybe not that one, okay? If you really want good quality, this is it. This is quality. The biggest takeaways and the biggest reasons for the camera to be so expensive is because it's comfortable to hold, has extra camera quality and frames per second. It's incredibly adjustable, the card reader reads incredibly fast, and transfers high definition quickly to your computer. It's just great. But holy shrimp, it's expensive. If you want good camera quality, you don't need to buy it. In fact, I don't recommend buying it. Technology is always advancing, so buying it now would mean the camera quality would be outdated in like 3 to 5 years. If there are other opportunities to rent it, do it. A school, a film company, etc. I have sources in the description to see the specifics of what lenses do, so make sure to read that. Canon cameras are usually the best cameras in manufacturing, by the way, but they can be pricey. Nikon's usually second in line, but that's more bang for your buck. For starting out, I recommend having the D3500 Nikon. It's usually a good choice for starting out budget camera, and it has HD, good battery life, and light. It's still like $600 though, so again, renting is a good place to start. Honestly, any tripod would work. Just don't buy like a really dinky binky $7 tripod from like a liquor store or something. Amazon has their own line of tripods where usually $15-ish, but they don't have the same flexibility as some of the other ones, such as the Manfrotto Compact Action Tripod, which is $60. You know, I've been working with the Amazon one for a while now, and it works just fine. Microphones are very important, especially shotgun microphones, as they allow for better sound quality for any given video. Very important, by the way. Sound for any film is very important, because come on, would you rather have a video sound like this?
Would you rather sound like this and look like this? It's your choice, man. It's your choice.
When looking for mics, make sure it comes with a dead cat, you know, the little fluffy thing. I have one. I guess. This little fluffy thing, it looks like a dead cat, that's why it's called dead cat. It like muffles the wind, that's its main purpose. Another possible recording tool could be a lavalier. It's these things that attach to your clothing. For voiceovers, you like to do it over a closet. Closets are usually nice because it dampens the sound and you don't necessarily need to buy those fancy equipment that uses sound foam or other types of things. Before I get into anything else, I want to explain the difference between each picto pattern that you will probably run into a lot. Anytime you see this pictograph, remember that the 2D image shown is actually 3D. The biggest takeaways when looking at this pictograph is that 0 degrees is where the mic is at, and then 180 degrees are where the sides are at. The red lines means the direction of the pressure that the microphone can read. The closer the red is to the center of the circles tells the amount of decibels the mic can read. For example, this omnidirectional microphone can capture pretty much any sound. This type of microphone would be perfect for like outdoor events like concerts, but it would be terrible for indoor environments. Compared to the other one, this type of pattern is called a bidirectional. This can capture sound from both directions of the microphone while blocking the sides. Because of this, the closer you are to the mic, the better quality you get. This type of microphone would be perfect for podcasting, but terrible for outdoor events. This type of pattern is called cardioyo. This can capture sound from both directions of the microphone, but is only most amplified from the front. Because of this, ambiance sound becomes nullified and the sensitivity from the front is increased. This type of microphone would be perfect for filmmaking and is one of the most popular types of microphone. Shotgun microphones usually use this type of sound pattern, simply put, because it is the most effective for capturing sound in front, right? This type of pattern is called super cardio. This is similar to the cardio pattern, but is more sensitive from the back. Because of this, the ambient sounds become even more nullified, but also require more precision from the sound in the front of it. This type of microphone would be perfect for filmmaking and is one of the most popular types of microphone, alongside the other one. Links will be in the description of where I got these sources, etc, right? And if you decide to buy a shotgun microphone, do everyone a favor, do the cinematography a favor, don't put the damn thing in front of the camera. Thank you. I personally never had a dolly, and I've yet to use one, but the cheapest ones I've seen online, like Amazon, usually go for like $500 to $10,000, and that's the ones that go underneath the tripod. So I just recommend you just make your own out of PVC pipes. If you want to know, just look it up on YouTube, and you probably could find something along the lines of that. Buy something from like Manfrotto. That's from personal experience. I have found them to be really great. Dollies aren't necessarily necessary as a shoulder mount rig and a Steadicam. You're not going to find Steadicams as much, but shoulder mount rigs you will. They do about the same thing as a dolly, as they're meant to stabilize the camera so there wouldn't be so much shaking. The difference between the two is the control behind it. The shoulder mount rig is handled by humans alongside the Steadicam, while the dolly can be controlled by a machine and could reach places that a normal camera wouldn't be able to reach. Lighting is incredibly important as it helps the viewer see.
Wow, really?
Okay, well, it also helps create the mood and the depth of the film.
Oh, okay, cool, thanks.
Okay. When dealing with outdoor lighting, I recommend buying a reflector. It only costs like $30 and it really brightens the person who is in front of the camera. You want it to be facing the sun and directed at an angle towards the person in front of the camera. When you deal with indoor lightings, I recommend using the 3-point contact method. It essentially requires you to position your 2 lights behind the person while having the 3rd light be directed towards the person. This allows the person in front to be focused while allowing the background to have more depth. Speaking of green screens and blue screens, if you're a nerd, it's always nice to have a green screen for a movie. Anytime you want to explore a vastly different world, pull up a green screen to interact with it. Keep in mind that the differences of the green screen is important, as green screens will allow crisp edits, while blue screens will allow you to take it outside in a natural environment, like a tree or something. History is quite cool of how it was invented, and so I highly recommend watching a YouTube video about it or something. Transition!
Cool, now you know some tricks, but what can you do with them? Huh. Yeah? Good job. The editing process, well, you know, besides the actual filmmaking, of course, is one of the most important parts to do for a film. So it's sort of like putting together a puzzle. Whoa. Oh, who are you? Yeah, I'm just the guy who's gonna help you explain how to edit. Whoa, can I just... What are you doing? Stop. No, stop. Stop. Stop it. Stop. 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 Okay, well... Yeah, so... In the industry, what they do is they make the editors edit. So right here, I have a piece of paper which symbolizes the first process of any film. It's the logic film. It's pretty much your organization part. You want to put everything into like a folder or something and name it and label it of where each segment will be. For example, like in my video, I have a scene folder of scene 1, and for scene 2, it's scene 3, and etc. That is logic. Next part is the first assembly, which is pretty much you put this, all your files and your film inside a timeline, which is essentially where you're gonna put the films in your programming system, right? And then the second one is technically the rough cut. So you want to cut around the edges, you know, you don't necessarily do it without purpose. You always want to have a purpose when you are cutting the film, right? You want to be careful, but not too much so that it takes the majority of your time. That is what the next part comes in, which essentially is the fine cut. Now this is where you want to actually be careful and you want to have it fine. Like for example, you want to put transitions, you want to put narration speeches, or where you want your things to go, right? So this is pretty much a refined version of a rough cut. Of course, it's naturally in the name, right? Film. Then we have for the last part is the final cut, which is pretty much your special effects and anything else you want to add before you put on your film. You know, make it look cool or make it look something like that. I don't know. And then after you're done with these edits or what you got so far, you pretty much send them off. You send them off to whoever's gonna look at your film. Like for example, a director, other actors, other producers, the other editors, right? People who were involved in the film, they will take notes and pretty much give you notes on it. And he's technically not wrong. Like, you can run through this process tens of times depending on how many mistakes you make. And it's really helpful. It is. It's just really downplaying and it hurts. But at the same time, you also have a deadline, so you need to make that quick and quick edits. That's what I'm saying. You need to learn your shortcuts. It is painful, but a good edit with a bad video could still make or break your film. And with special effects, it can turn realistic situations into unrealistic and fun situations like that. It really adds a lot to the video. And remember to familiarize yourself with the shortcuts of the software because you're going to be editing a lot. Alright, I'm going to be going now. Okay, I'll see you later then, yeah.
I'm done with this segment.
Take care. Yeah. God, I'm so lonely. The number one thing you want to do to get into filmmaking is have a portfolio, you know. Start by making videos with your friends, your family, maybe your sister, your cousin. I don't know. Start by making film with someone else. Or if you want, you do it by yourself. You probably want to upload to like something like TikTok or YouTube. This way that you get to learn about yourself, how to use the film and edit, and you can even learn about your demographic and who you want to target. Speaking of targeting people, thumbnails. Thumbnails are one of the most important things in any video, as it's the hook to your entire thing, right? YouTube does this thing with the watch time where the longer someone's on your video and watches the entire thing, your video will be recommended to other people. So make sure you have a lot of interesting things inside your video to, you know, expand and recommend to other people. And even if the video is the best thing ever, keep this in mind, no one will watch it because the thumbnail is not good. Some tips I can give you for thumbnail ideas is put boobs in the thumbnail.
Stop.
What are you telling them? Don't
You're
do
back.
that.
Hi. What do you mean? Isn't that like the best thing to do?
I don't know, man, because it's a scummy thing to do. A good thumbnail will have the summary of the entire video in picture form, right? Like, for example, some people will probably put like circles or like an arrow pointing to something of the object in the frame, you know, something interesting. You know, it's sort of an antique form of thumbnail. It's using the basic principles of something interesting in frame. Use text. Use text to convey your message to the audience, you know, you can do that too. Also, try to make your title interesting. Don't make it super boring. Don't be every other person that has the same title, like how to make cookies. If you're making a cookie tutorial, don't say how to make cookies, because chances are there's a bunch of other videos 10 times better than yours above you. So try to diverse it and make it interesting and different from everyone else. Like, for example, the easiest way to make the best cookies out there, right? Something interesting, something that's eye-catching. Emphasis on the letters are important too. The easiest should probably all be capitalized, and delicious, you know, keywords should be capitalized. All right, man, I'll see you later. It's a cool guy right there. Man, that was a lot of buttload information. Now, I hope you guys just go out there and expand your portfolio, and you can make blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster after... Okay, well, what if this thing gets boring, right? What if you don't want to do, you know, a director's job? Are there other jobs out there?
So yeah, I'm going to talk about the types of job positions you can have in the film industry. Obviously, it's not going to be all of them, but that's mainly because there's like 20 million, thousand, a lot. There's a lot. I'm going to go for the popular ones and the ones that are most reasonable to go for. Obviously, everyone knows who the director is. He's responsible for the entire production and is the leader of the group. He is the visionary. He is the guy who goes to check on the edits, writes notes, and he guides the editors on what to do. He works with the producer. He works with the director of cinematographer, and he is overall the leader in the production side of things. Some of the qualifications include like being assertive, right? Great at micromanaging. Working well with others and having a creative approach to every problem that happens on set. There's going to be a lot of problems out there that you won't have the time or money for, so being able to adapt is very important for this job. Directors usually have a bachelor's degree in film. I recommend having around a master's degree, as the wage gap between the two is great. You need to have like at least 5 to 10 years of experience in this production. And the employment rate is supposed to grow 24% from 2020 to 2030. Producers are responsible for the business portion of the film, financing, hiring writers, you know, everything about hiring, everything about scheduling the film. Qualifications, you know, is very similar to directors. They have to be assertive, they have to be great at micromanaging, and they have to work well with others, as well as being organized. The minimum degree should be like around a bachelor's degree in film, acting, journalism, and business. You require like around 1 to 5 years of experience in the production business, and the employment rate is supposed to grow the same rate as director. Set designer, right? They are responsible for the creation and the feel for the set, right? The environment. They're supposed to create the illusion of the atmosphere, and whether or not they'll be able to do a day scene at night or a night scene at day, right? Using lighting to trick the audience into thinking what day and time it is. Some of the qualifications that are important in this is like knowing 3D art and design, knowing agriculture, and being creative, as in the film business is very fast paced. The minimum amount of degree is also a bachelor's film. But mainly in fine arts, graphic design, and theater. 2 to 4 years of experience in the production. Employment rate is supposed to grow at 4.46% in the coming years. So next thing is director of photography, or I've been saying the whole time is director of cinematography. They work closely with the director to enhance the vision portion of the film. They do help with the storyboarding and the film itself, camera angles, lighting, mood, etc. Their qualifications include like being attention to detail, having good technical camera abilities / angles, and being organized in general. They have to record, and then they have to send it to the editors to edit. For a degree, you probably want a bachelor's degree, photo photography, communication, and fine arts. 10 years of experience, that's mainly the minimum for being in production. The employment rate is supposed to grow at 14% in the coming years. Costume designers, it's pretty self-explanatory. They make the outfits for production, right? They also have to see if the vision and the atmosphere fit the costume itself. Wearing a bikini in a snowstorm does not make sense in the context, right? Some of the qualifications: understanding dressmaking, good communication, you got to be detail-oriented and up-to-date with the latest fashion. Bachelor's degree in graphics design, theater, fashion, and fine arts. 2 to 4 years of experience in the production itself, and the employment rate is supposed to grow at 4.5%. Prop master, as the name implies, they are designer of the props and the noise of it. Most people don't know this, but prop masters also control the noise of certain props. Qualifications: they have to be organized, creative, mobile, and have good researching skills. If you want to know what different sounds make and how to reduce it, then that's mostly important. It doesn't matter what kind of degree you get, but you should just get a degree in fine arts design and film. I couldn't find what's the minimum years of experience, but you probably need to have a lot of experience. And the employment rate is supposed to grow at 18% in the coming years. The makeup artist, right? They are the lead roles that does the makeup, the prosthetics, in order to make the characters more readable on film. Qualifications for a makeup artist require them to be flexible, up to date with health and style of makeup, and have to be charismatic/compatible with the actors themselves. They will have to be doing the makeup for these actors for a long time. The degree is an associate's degree / you can take a training program as well in cosmetology, or a bachelor's degree in theater, right? And 3 years of experience. Employment rate is about to grow about 9.6%. Movie editors, right? Movie editors pretty much edit the film. Their qualifications require a lot of patience, time management, and communication skills in working under pressure. Degree is mainly in bachelor's in film production, and it takes around 6 years in experience. Employment rate is to grow at 29% in the coming years. The last thing I have here on my list is the film composer. They essentially make the music for the film, and they edit and adjust the volume levels to make sure that the sound is perfect. The qualifications require them to be artistic, leadership skills, and good at music composition. Some of the degrees that people have when going into film composers are like degrees in film composition, a master's degree in music composition, general liberal arts, and music degrees. You need to have more than 4 years of experience in production, right? And the employment rate for this job is to grow at 6%.
Hi, how are you doing today? How's everything?
Good.
Your name again is
I'm Justin Sanchez.
Right, and you are.
I'm just a child.
And you're in.
Yeah, so contrary to popular belief, I don't think you should hit your directors. Yeah, don't do this. This is stupid. Yeah, so try this instead. As you can see here, I'm talking to a random person on the side as the director, and my dad here is going to be the person who's going to confront me. As you can see here, we're both shaking hands, where he's looking firmly in my eyes, and he's making eye contact, talking in clear sentences as we go along. And you want to convey your message through not just your words, but also your hands, to convey your confidence and to convey your clairvoyancy. Isn't that cool? I just used a cool vocab word. The most important part of doing anything in the film industry is to make connections with the people who are running it. Like, for example, and you ever have the chance to, you should go to talk to a producer or maybe a director if they're not busy, and ask them if you could be a part of the background crew. That way you can get indirect experience and you can learn a little bit more about how they work their program. When everyone collaborates with each other, the production value skyrockets and everything goes a lot faster and smoother. Eventually, these connections should lead you to other connections and even other people and other jobs, which will help you advance in the long run. If you don't necessarily need to have a portfolio of meeting directors on the set, but having one really helps. like right now. If you don't have one, start right now. Eventually they're gonna ask you for a portfolio and see what work you can do and see how reliable and trustworthy your outcome could be. Having a portfolio like this will give the people who you're working with more certainty and can even qualify you for better jobs. It's great to have a large portfolio, but don't just make it like one thing. Like, don't make it all action and don't make it all romance. Try to diversify your content so that if you do other things, you get more experience and you can even make your film even better. When making a film, have fun with it. Don't force anything, because if you force something, it'll make it look fake and unrealistic. And this fake and unrealistic stance will reflect back to your audience and they will tell. Give your actors the freedom to shape how their character is portrayed. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily change their whole personality, but give them enough freedom so that the personality is risen from them and not from the script that is written. Sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't, but your job as a director is to simply put them in the right direction so the film can go out good. That's it. That's pretty much my show. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope you see you later. But
When you were born, the world gives you a hand of cards that you have no control over. Some are lucky, while others struggle just to live by their own ambitions. One day, you and your family decide to watch a movie, your first ever movie on a widescreen TV. Now, this movie, this world, it captivates you, inspires you, and despite its limitivity, it's the possibility that captivates you. One day, you've discovered that in 7th grade, your phone had a camera on it, right? You discover that you can make your first ever movie, and despite it not being the same as the ones on TV, it was something else. It was yours. And one day you discovered iMovie and its possibilities from there, and you discovered that you became the thing you loved the most, a filmmaker. Look, I'm not going to tell you that anything is possible or you can do it type bullshit, because the fact is that less than 10% who go into the film industry get in, and this includes people who have connections, this includes people who are talented, and this includes the people who want to become directors, right? Filmmaking is not for everyone. In fact, it actively discourages family life and other things, as it correlates with long working hours as well, away from home. Maybe it's not for you, heck, maybe it's not for me, but you know what? We have to try. It's just the passion and it's the love of storytelling that's embedded in the filmmaking. You know, it's incredibly necessary to tell the stories that got untold or the ideas that are just naturally interesting. You know, there's nothing to be ashamed of if you don't make it into the film industry, because the facts are that there are multiple other different ways to tell the single story. There are other options. You know, but this, at the same time, this doesn't give you the chance to slack off. You know, you have to be persistent. The movies of tomorrow will define our generations, the generations to come, for as long as movies are around to exist. You know, if you have a story to tell, you must tell it. It's just the way of life. You know, it won't there will never be another movie quite like yours. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you for watching my show. If you made it this far, I'm just surprised. This took me way too long than it had to be. And this is only a pass or fail grade, so I really like doing this. Thank you. Please leave a like, subscribe, share, and thank you for watching.